Terry Shield steps in. Regulation stop. Currently running in 5th position. Everything running like clockwork at this stage. Regulation 4 tyre stop.
John Brady's on the spot.
Yeah, and it is a regulation stop. It looks like everything going completely to plan at the moment. Just waiting on fuel. Everything else is set. Neil Lowe's getting the hands up, and that'll be a fairly quick stop. They'll be happy with that one.
Meantime, John Brady, we've got a shot here from race cam of Andrew Miedeke working on the 05 Brock car, all on his own-some. Still parked at the side of the circuit, trying to figure out what the problem is with this car and try and get it back up and running, because the laps are ticking away and it's becoming almost an impossible task. Lost another one.
Now that might be the same car. You get a look at it side on. If it's 44, it's dumped another wheel. 43.
Sister car.
The team car. So there's 3 Sierras have lost the left front wheel. Sorry, is that the left front?
That's the right front.
Right front, yeah. Sorry. And left and right hand drive cars, very confusing.
Your
so
left
another
hand
one
never did know what the right hand was doing.
Another one will limp down the hill.
Oh, wretched luck for Brian Bolwell, who took a big gamble and put up the money to take over these 2 former Tony Longhurst Sierra. Oh, that sets your teeth on edge, doesn't it? It'll set a few other people's teeth on edge too if they come on him very suddenly down this part of the circuit.
There's problems for the Neil Crompton. Bradley Jones, number 7, Holden Racing Team Commodore. Crompton had taken the car up to 9th on the road. He's had a shunt somewhere around the circuit. They've hit it with the 100-mile-an-hour tape, the silver tape. They're trying to make sure that there's nothing damaged. Crompton decided to bring the car in just at the same time. That's our bumper cam sitting out the front, giving you the best view. The other good news is Andrew Miedeke has passed the TAFE course and has the 05 car back and mobile, or limping anyway towards the pits. Nissan number 1 car, Jim Richards, pitted and rejoined the race, still in the lead, so they have not dropped the lead away.
Neil Crompton sitting in the car anxiously waiting as they try to repair the damage. Crompton, what happened?
The old boy got sideways coming into the pit straight in a fairly big way. We were tangled up in a scrap with John Bow and Greg Hansford. Gricey had virtually a spin. I ducked to the inside to miss him, but gave him a Liberace.
Oh, well, it's done a fair amount of damage.
No kidding.
We're looking at our Prima Holidays replay here. This was what happened when the car first came into the pits. And any method, fair or foul, to get things back in place and get it back up and running again, it can't happen quickly enough for Neil Crompton.
No, that is unfortunate. There's nothing he can do. He can just sit there and wait. Still working to try and get the aerodynamics right. At the moment, it has about the same aerodynamic lift as a brick wall.
Well, they've got to get it bent back into a reasonable enough shape to satisfy the stewards and not cop a black flag and have to keep coming back to the pit area. They've been in there for nearly 4 minutes. 11 also, and crawling into the pits. Oh, this is bad news.
Well, that's Thomas Mazera coming in to hand over to Larry Perkins. Cameron Williams is our man on the spot.
Yes, Mike, this is just a routine change, although it's a fairly full-on one. They're doing plugs, brakes, tyres, just about everything, even the driver, as you mentioned. The team's quite happy with the way things are proceeding, although there's a little bit of dispute here between the drivers.
I'll tell you what it is. It's Larry Perkins, who's an engineer. Tommy Mazera brought the car in very coolly, and Perkins wanted his attention, said, what's wrong? And he couldn't get the answer he wanted. And when you got trouble, there's double trouble. The 05, that has stalled on the entrance to the pits.
Now, where does the outside assistance put him in terms of...
Well, they've got to get him out of the way there.
Yeah, that's true.
11, the Perkins Mazera car was up to 5th. Well, I'll tell you what, if it... Poor old Andrew Miedeke, if the thing only runs 100 metres at a time, he's going to need 5 guys to run with him for the rest of the race. And this, of course, presents the next problem with Larry Perkins, the Mazera car, number 11, and the 05 car tucked in behind it. In the meantime, the 1 car with Skaife at the wheel to the top of the mountain.
John Bow still in 2nd place in car 17. Greg Hansford, car 30, holding down 3rd, but we understand about the pit. We also understand Alan Grice in car 16 is on his way to the pits. He was in 4th, or is in 4th place at the moment.
Well, we've had the teams with 3 teams so far with 2 cars in the pits at the same time. Let's go to John Brady.
Yes, thanks, Mike. We've got the car that Neil Crompton had the kiss with, and it's, of course, Alan Grice changing over for Win Percy. There's a bit of damage on the back left-hand side of the bumper. Thankfully, not enough to do a lot of damage there. So they're just going through a change now. They're going to do the brakes as they go through. But it's been a very bad day for Holden, or bad lap, that one for Holden, as you can imagine. One car running into the other. They've just cut the engine here, which could start to be a bit disconcerting. They were expecting to get through this a little quicker than they've done. They had reported no problems with the car, but things are just starting to slow here a fraction. Pads just in on the front wheels, about to go on. Now they're back in action and ready to go away. A little longer than they would have expected, and that little bit of damage at the back is going to probably annoy them for the day, but not cause too much trouble.
That's what you call quick servicing. Now, fortunately, we're able to ISO most of the incidents that happen around the circuit. Here's Neil Crompton, the 7 car. And that's what happened. As you could see, the Grice car was around sideways. He was able to try and pull out of harm's way, but managed to clip the tail of the car. Just thinking, John, you wouldn't want to be sitting there at the team debrief tonight. There'll be some solid chat.
It certainly would be. A lot of soul searching.
05 back on the road and running again. Meantime, while all that activity was going on, the 30 Seaton car came in. Hansford got out, Seaton got in, and they were on their way with a lightning stop. Came in running in 3rd place, rejoined in 3rd spot, so they've lost nothing in that little stop.
There's Thomas Mazera that we saw climb out of the Perkins 11 car. And
it's been a very interesting day. The car started off beautifully, and Andrew's had an electronic gremlin in the car, and through persistence he's actually got the thing going again, and arrived in here as Thomas was in to do a planned pit stop. And as he arrived, he said, "This, you know, the engine's got a problem. It's got, I think they dropped the valve in it." And so we sent Andrew back out to soldier on. I guess this will be sort of pushed to one side. This was our big hope, of course. But and I'll hop back into 05 and see if I can finish somewhere respectable through the day. But gee, electronics, a bit of a strange one. Okay.
Certainly is. I'd like to know who's supplying the wheels and tyres for car 44, because I think at last count it's been through 3 of them.
That's right, and both team cars have lost a wheel. 05, by the way, Peter Brock's car is now in 33rd place with Andrew Miedeke at the wheel. Car 4, the GIO Nissan, currently running in 6th position, is due in 2 laps for fuel, tyres and a driver change. So here is the race leader, hard on the heels of the Synovus Moffat entry, car 10. Gianfranco Brancatelli at the wheel of the leader of those 2 cars. The race leader, of course, is the car behind. And Mark Skaife, the man who picked up $15,000 for winning pole position here for this race. Car 10, by the way, is in 9th place and about to be lapped by Skaife.
They're an awesome machine, John, the GTR.
They are. They're awesome. It's just to see whether they've got the endurance to last the distance here.
Well, the 11 car is going behind the pit wall. Larry Perkins, Thomas Mazera. That challenge is over. Oh, now we have the Mark Gibbs, Rowan Onslow, GIO Nissan.
Scheduled stop.
Yep, was running in the top 6.
Clock's running on this one. Fuel, tyres and driver change. Mark Gibbs coming out of the car. And Rowan Onslow going in. He's had a long stint in that car, Mark Gibbs. Car 78 now on screen in the 1600cc category.
Jeffrey Full, and you can see the speed difference there between the outright cars. Sometimes it's a fairly thankless task for the guys who steer the smaller cars around. They're blamed for being in everyone else's row, but they're trying to race each other in their own class, a race within a race. And they spend half the time looking forward and half the time in the mirrors.
Yes, ducking from what's coming from behind. There's probably some very good racing back there, though.
It is very competitive.
Yeah.
They've been running at 10 tenths all day, 78.
Yes, we talked about being in for the long haul and back in this category. Of course, we've got Bob Holden and Renaud Altonen, who won the race here 25 years ago in a Mini, still campaigning, this time in a Corolla. They're in 24th place.
It's good to see.
Unusual sight. I remember some years ago with Doug Chivers having to push his car into the pits, and at that stage it was all uphill. There's race cam with the Nissan boys waving goodbye to Dick. Whether or not he'll drop in behind. Still trying to reach the pits.
The Peter Verheyen, John Vernon Corolla there.
And problems here by the look of it for John Smith and Morgan with the Mercantile Mutual Supra that has got off by the look of it at Murray's Corner and has the front of it sticking in the wall down there. Whether he's been able to pull it up before hitting the wall or whether she has been shortened up, we might get from another view.
Doesn't look so super anymore, does it?
No. Tried to pull it out. This is what happened. Straight off, he's pulled the front of it around. No, and was able to stop it. Good driving. Good to see Johnny Smith back here at Bathurst with the Supra attempt. He's put a lot of money, a lot of effort into it, and so too Mercantile Mutual. The Supra was running 17. Now that is a good result at this time of the day.
As car 9, second Moffat Sierra swings up the hill.
Just giving Gary Wilmington the go-by in 41 Toyota Supra, and just behind him comes Peter Fitzgerald, car 9, as I said, in 9th position.
So that's the 2 Moffat Sierras in the top 10.
Yeah.
I don't think Alan would be too upset by that at that stage, gauging by the conservative race setup they've had all week up here. Gary Babin being drafted into the 9 car. It was originally supposed to be the 2 Brabham boys, Gary and his brother Jeff. But Jeff had an unfortunate accident testing his Nissan car in the States. Had to withdraw only a few weeks from the event, and they drafted in Steve Millen. Gary Brabham has risen to the highest levels in motorsport at one stage, had a Formula 1 drive with the Life racing team.
There wasn't much life in the Life racing team, was there?
It wasn't really a Formula 1 team. They had enough trouble just getting the car to the circuit, let alone getting it to qualify. Hello.
Problems for Longhurst Alan Jones, the BMW number 25 car.
Now this is very surprising. The bulletproof BMWs. Alan Jones at the wheel.
There are other cars in as well. This is a regular scheduled pit stop here. Peter Fitzgerald out of the car, Denny Hulme in. Tyre change. Fuel. But the big news concerns not this car, but the stablemate, the 25 car.
We've got a wheel coming off.
Was it a wheel coming off, or he might have a puncture? That tyre looked to be a little bit down as he went up the mountain.
Longhurst was in 5th place.
Here goes the tyre.
He's about to lose it. The 20 car was in 10th place.
I've seen Dick Johnson in a similar situation in his Mustang several years ago, and he managed to hold it all together, well, Larry Perkins at the wheel at the time, and bring it down the mountain safely. But there's no guarantees here. That tyre is going to get shredded very badly by the time he's down toward the pits.
Oh. Car 20 has left the pits with Denny Hulme at the wheel.
That is a rotten piece of luck for BMW, running so strongly at 3rd position at one stage.
Caltech's race score at the present time with the number 1 Nissan still piloting the field in the 2's 1000. 2nd place in the open category, Seaton and Hansford in the Peter Jackson Sierra, and the car 17 Johnson and Bauer, the Shell Racing Sierra, in 3rd spot. 3-litre category still led by Longhurst and Jones, despite the loose wheel from Tony. Fitzgerald and Hulme, the teammates, in 2nd place, and Cotter and Dillman, big effort there, still running 3rd in the 3-litre category. In the 1600cc class, Full and Morris still leading. Forshaw and Vorst have moved up in that category to 2nd position, and Searle and Griffiths holding down 3rd spot. Just made it. Just.
And this is the critical thing for the BMW team. If this tyre's done any damage under there, they'll drop a heap of time.
Dropped a couple of places crawling to the pits from 5th down to 7th when he came in.
That's time they can't afford to lose. The race strategy for this car was to go absolutely flat chat with one hiccup.
Okay, fresh rubber on.
Meanwhile, Tony Longhurst has stepped in to replace Alan Jones. The car's been in the pits for 40 seconds and out in 44. So
it's pretty flash, isn't it? Last year's winners. Regulation stopped by the look of it. Clock ticking. crew working furiously. Tyre change, fuel in. Quick stop indeed. Good stop. Go, go, go. Pitted in 3rd position, rejoined the race in 4th position.
And a stop of 27.31 seconds. That is a ripper.
Big effort.
And the
Alf and Tim Grant. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, father and son combo, Alf and Tim Grant from Brisbane. Running 17th on the road. What a marvellous experience it must be for a dad and his lad to come to Mount Panorama.
Yeah, a car of great historical significance. This thing was largely involved in Nissan's first touring car championship victory. It soldiered on against the Sierras and the Commodores at a time when it wasn't really competitive, but still managed to score a couple of wins with Jim Richards at the wheel before they moved on to the all-conquering GTR. So certainly Nissan's second most successful touring car, and it's been passed on to the hands of the Grant chappies, and it's going very well too.
Just sitting back there behind the 17 car of Dick Johnson. Oh, look at all this traffic. Got a, no. How much was... We're planning on taking a race cam cross, but I'm not quite sure.
Well, at least the Sierra, yeah, Dick gives him a wave and says thanks. The Sierra knew that he was there. I don't think that the Corolla did.
Conrod Straight, Dickie Johnson. You're killing him, son.
Mate, I can sort of kind of hear you. It's not all that good, the reception, Mike, but we're just pressing on regardless.
Well, that must give you some heart after a pretty wretched season in the Touring Car Championship. You found all that consistency on one day.
Well, we had so much drama in the lead up to this race you wouldn't believe. And thank heavens we found what the problem was prior to the race, prior to qualifying, because it was a fairly serious sort of a problem, which was, you know, as you know, electrical, that we had interference in our computer and it was blowing engines for us, which was not a nice thought. And there's Crompton's car stopped on the side of the road.
Whoops.
Yes, Neil Crompton, Brad Jones, number 7, the second of the HRT team cars, getting pushed to the side of the road.
Bond rejoins the race in 10th position, dropped 2 spots there on the changeover.
What happened, son?
We're out of gas, very high-tech problem.
Oh.
Switched the reserve on as we came up pit straight. That was the first indication of the car coughing, and she only made it to the cutting.
Hasn't been the best of races, has it?
You have to keep grinning though, don't you?
Yes, grin and bear it. You were running 12th on the road. Park it safely and walk back. Commiserations, that was a good drive considering the problems you had in the opening laps.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I tried very hard. Obviously, it was unfortunate to get tangled up with the Gricey thing, but that's showbiz. And the car settled down quite nicely once again, and I drove quite hard as I dare, given that it's had an additional wheel alignment thanks to me and Brad. And, you know, we were able to hang in there with Dick and sort of split up Dick and Winnie. But anyway, next year we'll do a better job.
I'm sure you will.
Thank you. Bye.
Brad Jones we just saw in the Holden team pit. I think we might try a little communications trickery. Brad, you've got a headset on there?
Yes, can you hear me all right, Wilco?
Yes, mate, got you fine, loud and clear. Crompton sitting up the top there in the car, very disconsolate, obviously, as you are. You want to have a chat to him?
Well, might as well. I haven't got much else to do here at the moment.
Neil?
G'day, mate.
How are you, Cromley?
All right, what's happening down there? Can you make some salad sandwiches for me, please?
Yeah, we've got them on the boil here. What have you done to my car?
We've run out of gas, mate.
Oh, well.
It's not over yet because I'm going to try and get the nose of the thing downhill so the pumps can pick up and then select reverse and smoke the bags, basically.
Back it across the top.
Yeah. Wasn't going too bad, was it?
Well, no, we were kicking a few goals, considering the handicap we got off to at the start of the day.
Yeah, with you in the car.
Yeah, and then you.
Sorry,
Thank
mate.
you, Cromley.
Listen, I'm going to make a horrible noise here for a minute, so go away and have a chat to Wilco about his hairdo or something.
Yeah, thanks. See you, Cromley.
Thank you, Crompton. You'll get yours, son. 4's in as well, the GIO Nissan GTR.
Looks like he's hit something, whether a rock's hit the headlight or something, but there's damage on the front of the car. And this is the pad change for the GIO machine.
Driver change, Rowan Onslow out of the car, Mark Gibbs back in. They've had a relatively trouble-free run all day. They were looking strong in 5th position when they came in for this stop. Yeah, they're giving something a nudge.
It fortunately just looks like a nudge and nothing more. Hopefully no damage inside the engine bay there. Well, they've got it all strapped up with race tapes. That'll hold it together. Otherwise, a reasonably slick stop.
Car 19 here is in 35th position. Grice is in 3rd position. Let's hope, yes, he does the decent thing and gives him right away as they line up on the straight.
There's Gricey, 49 years of age. Doesn't everyone live in Queensland?
Yep.
Career highlights: Australian Sports Sedan Champ 78-79, on the AMSCAR Touring Car Series in 82, and of course the Tui's 1000 in 86 and 90, a dual winner, then backed up to win the James Hardy 12-hour race here at Easter. Did very, very well, so he's had 3 major endurance wins here at Mount Panorama. Colin Bond, car number 8, the Caltech Sierra. This is a replay of exactly what happened or what led to the pit stop. Have a look. Bang. Dearie me, he recovered that well. Just got wide. Coming out of Tui's turn. Went into the pits. Now back on the racetrack running 12th. We pick him up coming over the skyline through the 2WS sweeper. Corolla separating he and Greg Hansford. Hansford in the 30 car. 73 is of course the car we've been talking about during the day, the 2 veterans, Bob Holden and Rano Altonen. When you put 2 past masters and all that experience together into a small car class, you've got to go somewhere, and I'd say they're enjoying reliving the good old days today.
Yes, these guys go down in Bathurst history. They ran the little Morris Cooper S's here in 1966 when those little BMC machines dominated the race. 25 years ago that victory was, and they've teamed up again today. Mind you, they're still active on the racing scene. Rano Alton, he's 53 years of age, works as a senior instructor for BMW Advanced Driving Safety, and also, little lock of the brake, teaches the German police advanced driving as well. Also competed in the Spa 24-hour race, I think, as late as last year, Richard.
Yeah, he's actually better known really for his rallying exploits, more so than his racing. But he was quite a rally driver in his day, especially in the Little Minis.
It looks like a driver change. John Bauer, rent a body. Well, here comes Dick Johnson, ready to come into pit lane, getting ready. You'll notice when he straightens the car up, the belts will come off on the run-up pit lane now. There you go. Belts are released.
Dick Johnson coming in 2 laps ahead of schedule. And John Brady's on the scene.
Yeah, thanks very much. Dick in, as you say, 2 laps ahead. The reason is that spongy brake pedal he talked about. They've already changed the pads on this car once. Now, they had them on standby if they thought they'd get any help out of changing them again. They've obviously decided not to. The problem's in the hydraulics. They're going to try and run with that, get by on the spongy pedal. It's still working enough. The interesting thing is, as was mentioned about the splash and dash, they've now worked out they will need 1 more stop at the end of this race. It will be a 10-litre stop of petrol. That's all they'll need to stick in the car. It will be a very, very quick one. So if all goes well according to this one, and it looks like doing just that, in fact, it's done very, very well indeed for this change for them. If this spongy brake pedal holds out, they will have 1 very, very quick pit stop left.
Thank you, John. Johnson pitted while running 2nd. John Bauer into the car. They rejoin the race in 3rd place. The Tui's 1000 continues in one direction, while car number 19 is the Kane Scott Dick Johnson, or ex-Dick Johnson car, on lap 120 of 161. Has obviously run through with problems and trying to park in safety. In the meantime, no, Neil Crompton isn't just sitting there doing nothing. I believe you've been busy in the last couple of minutes.
I've had a bit of a sprint down to the bottom, caught a utility, caught a chopper, got some fuel, caught a chopper again, caught another utility, had a sprint back up the hill. But now someone's unfolded a rule book and they say I'll be charged if I drive out onto the circuit. All I really wanted to do, Mike, was put the car back down the bottom of the pit lane, but they've dusted off rule 4,437 that says you can't do that. In fact, what I wouldn't mind doing is having our blokes double check and see what the story is to that.
Here's the Nissan number 1.
The car in 1st place comes in for another scheduled stop, and by the sound of that air gun, they're hammering away on that front wheel nut, doesn't seem to be coming loose.
one for a while.
Well,
Back
the
one's
rear's
okay.
They're still going. Well, there's problems here.
Oh, there it
it's come
goes.
off. So, new wheels and tyres on. A little bit of oil leaking out there out of the, looks like the hydraulic floor jack. Shouldn't affect the running of the car at all. But the engine's fired. Back down on the ground. 40 seconds.
So it's out. Let's go down to Wally's story. Wally, you're having some trouble trying to get the car back.
Yes, Mike, the problem was everybody was in the flap and everybody was getting pretty keen to get the car back down here, not realising, nobody gave it a thought that you're not allowed to replenish out of the pits. The thing we're concerned about is after the race, somebody's going to jump the fence and start pilfering this thing, which is worth just a little more than 2 shillings.
No, I understand that. We checked, and that was the word that we got from Tim Schenk and Alan Horsley confirmed that for us. You can't get outside assistance. And I know it'd be nice to get rid of some of the cars from up there. There's a couple of other guys sharing a similar view, I would think.
Yeah, well, the mistake we've made really is I didn't go up and talk to Tim and explain my situation, so we've made a pretty bad error there. But anyway, we can't go back on that now.
Well, so what have you got to do? I guess let's see if we can put you in contact with Neil Crompton, and then you can explain it to Neil. He can be frustrated, but at least he'll know. He'll know. You there, Neil?
Yes, I am. Hi, guys.
Talk to Wally.
Okay, well, what's happening?
Well, in the middle of me organising with you to send up some fuel, in the middle of it all there, we haven't actually been within the rules to do that, and the concern about the car being pilfered, unfortunately, is overridden by the fact that it's just illegal in the race regulations to do it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just go down the Quarry Road to where our OB van is down there. It'll be safe down there, so I'll have a wander down there and I'll come down and see you shortly.
Thank you, gentlemen. I hope we've been happy to resolve some of the problems for you.
Oh, that's fine. Thanks for that, Mike.
Okay, buddy.
That's great.
No worries, Mike. Thanks very
Okay,
much.
after that pit stop, Nissan rejoined in first place, but we've got problems for the 17 car, John Bow.
Oh dear. Smoke pouring from the front left-hand wheel.
That's looking fairly terminal. And that's looking even worse.
Yep, the Seaton car was coughing and spluttering its way out, and it hasn't even made it out of pit lane. I can see the Peter Jackson pit crew running up the end of the pit lane to pull it back. Oh, look at this. Smoke pouring out the inside of the cockpit of the 17 car. John Bow getting covered in smoke and fumes. The wheels shaking, obviously a problem on the front left-hand corner of the car. But he's only a couple of 100 metres from pit lane, so he should make it back. Well, that's quite a barbecue in the 17 car. Meanwhile, car 18 comes in.
This is going to be good when 17 arrives.
Yeah, we're going to have 2 Shell Sierras, or one of them at least, not on a scheduled stop. And Johnson's recent bad luck continues. 1991 has not been his year.
Well, there's even bigger problems. The Johnson car is coming back, and they're pushing the Peter Jackson car back at the same time down pit lane.
So 3 Sierras there in trouble. Well, the 18 car apparently is running okay still. And it's off the jacks and out in just under 40 seconds. So 18 is still running to schedule as far as the Shell team's concerned. But car 17 there, John Bow, the engine's still idling. And he wants to know what the problem is before he gets out of the car.
Meanwhile, the 30 car is back. They couldn't get it to form. Let's go down to the Shell pits and John Brady.
Yeah, we've Neil Lowe is still trying to find out from John Bow just what the worry is at the moment. A lot of smoke coming out from this engine. They've just cut it now. It looks like they've got some fairly deep problems. John Bow getting out of the car, and all of that doesn't point to anything particularly good at all.
Well,
it does not look good at all at the moment for the Dick Johnson team. The car that was reporting a couple of troubles with the brakes has now picked up a couple of more serious ones, I think, under the bonnet.
well, Bow was third. Looks like he's done.